Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame Satyamayi Parame Satyamayi Parame Satyam Jnanam Satyam Jnanam Jyotir Aravinda Jyotir Aravinda Jyotir Aravinda. So how many of us feel at least once a day our mind goes into some kind of negative world? Most of us, right? And what happens when we go into that negative world? What are the kind of thoughts we think? Huh? You think horrible thoughts. You think this will happen, that will happen. We get driven by fear, a feeling of doom, and somehow when the situation passes, do you notice that none of the things you thought would happen actually happened? Of course, it's a common experience for all of us that 9 out of 10 times all the negative possibilities we dread don't ever happen. And yet somehow we don't learn from our past experience. Next time we get into a negative spin, we again start believing our thoughts when they are telling us this will happen and that will happen and that will happen. And in the new consciousness that the Mother and Sri Aurobindo speak about, this kind of negative thinking and fear has no place. In the new consciousness, there is a natural knowing that everything is happening in the field of what Sri Aurobindo and Savitri, he uses a beautiful phrase, the eternal good. He said, we just know that everything is unfolding in the field of the eternal good. So last week what happened to me, a personal sharing, I had moved houses 2 years ago, and in the process all my very important documents which I'd kept in a folder, I had put in such a safe place that when I needed them, I just couldn't find them. So it was a very frightening scenario because a lot of things were at stake which wouldn't get done if I wouldn't find those documents. So for 2 days I didn't find it, and during those 2 days I know many times my mind would go into that negative thinking. Oh, what will happen if I don't find it? What if it disappears? How will I recover them all? I mean, they are documents dating back to decades. So that kind of negative spin started, but I was very fortunate because of my practice. The moment those thoughts would come, if you don't find it, this will happen, that would happen, something in me would say, no, I don't believe these thoughts. They are not real, they are just thoughts that are going on in my head. And I've prayed to Mother, now whatever she does, if I find the documents, it will be good for me. And if I don't find them, somehow she'll take care of it. So I kept coming back to that one thought, and for most of the time I wasn't hassled, and of course at the end of the 2 days I did find the documents. But the point is that if I hadn't kept checking myself, and for 2 days if I had lived in constant anxiety and stress, I would have strengthened that samskara in me. And every time I strengthen a samskara of stress, it comes back to me again and again and with more intensity. So every time this kind of negative spin comes and I bring consciousness to it and I work with it, then Patanjali beautifully writes in his Yoga Sutra, Heyam Dukkham Anagatam. Then you avoid future pain from coming. If a difficult moment comes and you don't bring consciousness to it and you let it pull you down into unconsciousness, you keep creating fresh samskaras of pain, and karma is nothing but unresolved past. In the past I've reacted like this, so each time life will throw me the same trigger again and again, giving me a chance to overcome the old way of reacting. Now if I keep reacting the old way again, then my past is not getting resolved. And each time I'll have to face the consequences of an unresolved past, which is karma. So, Sri Aurobindo's words, the workings of the mother are too subtle and swift for the human intelligence to follow. I just love this sentence. If you really understand it deeply enough, it's telling you that however intelligent you are, mother's workings are too subtle and too swift. You will never ever understand them. That means you will never ever understand life, because life is nothing but a field of mother's working. No matter how smart you think you are, mother is smarter than all of us. And none of us will ever understand what she does in our lives and why she does it. So I don't know about you, but when I first read this sentence, it just lit me up, because it made me understand once and for all that I'll never understand life. And that was a big relief. It made me stop trying to understand it. So the workings of the mother are too subtle and swift for the human intelligence to follow. The mind makes its formations and judges by appearances. It is deceived by what seems to it good or bad fortune, success or failure. But the mother knows what is needed and when and how it has to be done. Her action proceeds from a supreme knowledge above all mental reckoning, and is guided by a truth which the mind cannot seize. So the mother says again and again that your mind is not an instrument of truth. Don't try to figure out the truth with your mind, because your mind is given to you to organize things, but not to really understand the truth behind things. So she's telling us that whatever your mind tells you is at the most ignorant knowledge. She's coined this beautiful phrase, whatever you think you know with your mind, you think you know with your mind that this person said this, so his intention was that. And you're very convinced it's true. But is it? Never believe your mind, because unless it comes from a space of intuition, whatever your rational, logical mind tells you. So when I was teaching this to 11th standard kids yesterday, one kid told me, but if I think something, there's a logic to it, right? There's a reason to it. That's why I believe it. But the whole point is that our highest reason and highest logic will also never touch the truth. You will never really know why something happened, though your mind will give you many causes and they'll seem convincing, but you'll never really know why it happened. And you'll never really know what will happen also, because your thoughts are just conditioned patterns. They are not statements of truth on reality. So if your mind is telling you this terrible thing will happen, that terrible thing will happen, you have to just recognize that it's just a thought. It's not real. So there's a very beautiful true story. It was related by a Buddhist monk, Ajahn Brahm. He said he had a friend who was he was in the World War II. He was fighting in the army, and they were in the jungle. And at that time, they got news that a Japanese platoon was coming at them. And they got news that that Japanese platoon was triple their size and number and much more powerful than them. So this boy, Ajahn Brahm's friend, he said, I thought, well, we'll go out and fight and die fighting. That's what soldiers do. But the commander of the ranks told them to stay put in the bushes, not venture out. And he said, let's make a cup of tea. And everyone thought that this was the craziest thing to do. Instead of a war strategy, he was telling them to do nothing, just make a cup of tea, but you obey your seniors. So they all did it. They made the cup of tea for each one. They drank the tea, and by the time they finished drinking it, the Japanese platoon passed them by. The Japanese didn't know they were there. So if they had come out to fight with the Japanese, they would have been slaughtered. So this friend of Ajahn Brahm said this really gave him a very important insight, that when there's nothing to do, then do nothing. This means that when we are faced with something threatening, we'll always overthink, we'll try and defend ourselves, we'll try and protect ourselves. But sometimes the best protection is to remain calm and do nothing and let mother take the action. So, and she does, and then always know that so what was the purpose of this event? Maybe it was to give this young man this very important life lesson, that when there's nothing to do, then do nothing. Because sometimes when we are in difficulty and we try to take unnecessary extra action, we make it far worse, right? Somebody is upset with us, instead of just letting that person be, we'll keep trying to get that person to talk to us, and that's good sometimes. Sometimes that makes it worse, because the more you talk, the more entangled it gets. Why not just leave it to mother? Mother's controlling every mind. I'll just get back my peace, and mother, you work on that person's mind. It's such a simple thing to do. But we don't do this. When things go wrong, we get an itch. We have to keep doing something till it's fixed. So that's what she's saying. Don't do that, leave it to the mother. Now these lines from Savitri, page 61-63. The universe is an endless masquerade. A masquerade is an event where everyone's wearing masks. For nothing here is utterly what it seems. He's reinforcing what we've said, that your mind is not an instrument of the truth. However your mind sees something, it is not so. For nothing here is utterly what it seems. This person seems to be the bane of my life, but nothing is utterly what it seems. It may not be so. The same person's presence may be more helpful to you than you can ever imagine, because nothing is utterly what it seems. A phenomenon stands out significant against dim backgrounds of eternity. So say this example of the person who's the bane of my life, or something I'm dreading, whatever. That's a phenomenon which is standing out significant against dim backgrounds of eternity. All of eternity has conspired to make this phenomena happen. But I'm only seeing that phenomena in the moment, and I'm not seeing the background of eternity which has precipitated it is dim for me. So I'm judging just that one thing I'm seeing. A phenomenon stands out significant against dim backgrounds of eternity. We accept its face and pass by all it means. So we accept only its face, meaning we accept our mental narrative about it. Whatever my mind is telling me, I believe it, and pass by all it means. A part is seen, we take it for the whole. That's our problem. With our mental vision, we can only see a part, and seeing that part, we are convinced we are seeing the whole, and our judgment about it is complete. Few lines down, her mighty plan she holds back from our sight. That is, Mother, everything is part of her plan, but we can't see her plan. So we lose heart, we complain, we resist. She has concealed her glory and her bliss and disguised the love and wisdom in her heart. Of all the marvel and beauty that are hers, only a darkened little we can feel, because we are trapped in the prison of our mind, of all the marvel and beauty that are hers, and if hers, ours also, because she is us. But because of our mind, only a darkened little we can feel. So I'll just read out these lines without explanation. The universe is an endless masquerade, for nothing here is utterly what it seems. A phenomenon stands out significant against dim backgrounds of eternity. We accept its face and pass by all it means. A part is seen, we take it for the whole. Her mighty plan she holds back from our sight. She has concealed her glory and her bliss and disguised the love and wisdom in her heart. Of all the marvel and beauty that are hers, only a darkened little we can feel. Then this is from that little booklet, The Mother by Sri Aurobindo, where he says, even her rejections are only a postponement. So I've prayed and prayed, let this happen, let this happen, let this happen, and it doesn't happen, and I feel rejected. But even her rejections are only a postponement. She will give you the happiness you want, but it's postponed till the season for it comes. She hasn't rejected your prayer. It's just postponed. Even her rejections are only a postponement. Even her punishments are a grace. Punishments means difficult situation. Mother never actually punishes. That's not her way at all. But she sends us difficult situations and challenges not to punish us, but to make us more conscious, because difficulties are the time we are forced to become more conscious to survive. Isn't it? When we are comfortable, we don't push our boundaries of our consciousness, boundaries of our faith, boundaries of our effort to reach out to her. But it's only when things get difficult that we push our boundaries, and she sends us those difficulties so that the boundaries may be pushed, never to punish us. But her compassion does not blind her wisdom, nor turn her action from the course decreed. For the truth of things is her one concern. She wants you to bring you to the truth of your being. We are living in an artificial reality, and our mind is like an artificial intelligence inside us. It's not the truth. She wants to bring us to the truth of our being, and that is her main concern. For the truth of things is her one concern, knowledge her center of power, and to build our soul and our nature into the divine truth, her mission and her labor. This is her aim for us. Her aim is not just to make us momentarily happy. So we feel if she gives us things that make us happy, we are her favorites. When things go wrong, we are not her favorites. But it's not like that. Sometimes when things go wrong, we are her maximum favorites, because that's the time her grace will help us the most to survive the difficulty. Now, this is from Thoughts and Aphorisms of Sri Aurobindo, page 80. Sri Aurobindo says, "This I have seen, that whatever God has withheld from me, He withheld in His love and wisdom. Had I grasped it then, I would have turned some great good into a great poison." Do you get the beauty of what he's saying? Whatever God withheld from me, like we have many young people here, and many of us, when we are young, we want to find our right partner. Or then when we are married, we want to have a baby. And this is an example, it can be anything. But sometimes it's delayed and delayed and delayed. But he's saying, whatever God withheld from me, He withheld in His love and wisdom. Because He'll give me something only when I'm ready to interact with it in the most conscious way. So had I grasped it then, when I prayed to God for this and He'd given it to me, I would have turned some great good into a great poison. So beautiful, no? Yet sometimes when we insist, when I'm like a child throwing a tantrum saying, "No, I want it, I want it, I want it," He gives us poison to drink, that we may learn to turn from it and taste with knowledge His ambrosia and His nectar. So we keep going insistently, "I want it, I want it." Maybe He'll give us a small dose of it, but because I'm not ready for it, I'll suffer from it till I'll say, no, I don't want it, and I'll want what He wants to give me. So it's a beautiful aphorism. Hear it again. "This I have seen, that whatever God has withheld from me, He withheld in His love and wisdom. Had I grasped it then, I would have turned some great good into a great poison. Yet sometimes when we insist, He gives us poison to drink, that we may learn to turn from it and taste with knowledge His ambrosia and His nectar." Next, aphorism 125. "Because a good man dies or fails, and the evil live and triumph, is God therefore evil?" This is a legitimate question humanity has always asked, no? Bad things happen to good people, a good man dies and fails, and the bad people keep triumphing. Therefore, the God who made this universe, are you evil? I do not see the logic, Sri Aurobindo says, of the consequence. I must first be convinced that death and failure are evil. I call God, or humanity sometimes calls God evil when good people suffer death and failure. So Sri Aurobindo is saying, I don't agree with this, because I must first be convinced that death and failure are evil. I sometimes think that when they come, they are a supreme momentary good, not the eternal good, but the supreme momentary good. Death and failure, when they come, they are a supreme momentary good. But the fools of our hearts and nerves and argue that what they do not like or desire must of course be an evil. So this is a beautiful thing Sri Aurobindo is saying. Our whole premise of good and bad, good is what helps me to succeed at one level or the other, and bad is what causes me to fail. But he's saying, question that. Firstly, are you convinced that failure is bad for you? Sometimes failure paves the way for the momentary good much more than immediate success would have been. So Mother knows when to make us fail, when to make us succeed, but through it all she has our back. She knows what she's doing. And if you go by that, what kind of life have all the avatars had? What kind of death did Jesus have? How did Krishna die? Sri Aurobindo himself, then would you say evil was done to them? No. As he says, death and failure are the momentary good. It took evolution forward. So somebody asks Mother, based on this aphorism, but what about those who are unlucky and always fail in everything they do? First, once and for all, Mother says, you should know that luck, good or bad, does not exist. This is so beautiful. One of my friends recently told me that when he was doing something, many people asked him, which was your best experience, which was your worst? So he's saying, I don't have a good and bad. Everything is just experiences the Mother's giving me. And it's so beautiful if we live like that without labeling experiences as good or bad. They are just experiences, they are just unfoldings of life in the eternal good. So again we come back to that very celebrated shloka in the Gita where Krishna is telling Arjun that my devotee, a real devotee of mine, is one who's in a constant state of Shubh, Ashubh, Parityag. Shubh is fortunate, Ashubh is unfortunate, Pari is fully, Tyag is renounced. He has fully renounced the distinction between fortunate and unfortunate because he takes everything that happens to him as coming from me as the field of the eternal good, the field of Bhadram. So, that's what Mother's saying, good or bad does not exist. What our ignorance looks like, what to our ignorance looks like luck, is simply the result of causes we know nothing about. It is certain that for someone who has desires, when his desires are not satisfied, it is a sign that the divine grace is with him and wants through experience to make him progress rapidly. So important. When your desires are not satisfied, it's a sign that the divine grace is with you and wants through experience to make you progress rapidly. By teaching him that a willing and spontaneous surrender to the divine will is a much surer way to be happy in peace and light than the satisfaction of any desire. So beautiful. I'm reading this sentence again. It is for certain that for someone who has desires, when his desires are not satisfied, it is a sign that the divine grace is with him. Say it to yourself, this desire is not satisfied. That is a sign that the divine grace is with me and wants to make me progress rapidly by teaching me that a willing and spontaneous surrender to the divine will is a much surer way to be happy in peace and light than the satisfaction of desires. Because if your desires are satisfied, you'll be momentarily happy. Then you'll be scared you won't get it next time. Then when you won't get it next time, again you'll be down. But when your desires are not satisfied and still something in me wants to be happy, right? It's an instinct in me, I'm always looking to be happy. So suppose my desires are not satisfied, I start looking inside me for other ways to be happy. Happy even in the absence of satisfaction of this desire. And that's when sometimes something beautiful opens up, a surrender comes, a faith comes, a willingness to live life according to mother's will rather than my will comes. And that is a much greater gift from the Supreme than just immediate satisfaction of desires. So if your desires are not being satisfied, don't think that mother's abandoned you. In fact, she's given you even more grace to go through it, because it's very tough and painful when you have a strong desire which is not being satisfied, right? A desire to be loved, a desire, whatever it is. But if she is not fulfilling it, it's because she wants to open you to a higher happiness. And her grace will be with you if you stay with it. And once you make that opening, whatever you've desired will just effortlessly come to you. She will withhold it till you make that opening, till you receive the higher gift she wants to give you. Once you've received it, you will see that instead of you running after it, it will run after you and come to you, because now it doesn't make sense for her to withhold it.
What do you mean by if you make that?
See, Mother, what does she want for each of us? She just doesn't want us to be normally happy. In fact, Mother said somewhere that now is not the time to be happy in the usual sense of the word. Now's the time to work very hard on your consciousness. Happiness will come later. But the point is, she wants us to be unconditionally happy. She wants us to have the self-existent happiness which is our God nature. Now, if we keep basing our happiness on circumstances and fulfillment of desires, and she keeps fulfilling them, we will not look for that higher happiness. We will not open to that higher truth. Yeah, does it answer?
Desires also keep you very stunted.
Yeah, desires keep you. Would you talk more why they keep you stunted?
I believe desires keep you very stunted is because each time you fulfill a desire, a new one sprouts.
Yes.
It's always at the tail end, that serpent eating its own tail. It's the constant cycle. So if I get one desire, then there's the next desire and the third desire. And when you're stuck in the cycle of desire, you can't see anything beyond it.
Exactly.
It distorts your vision completely to anything beyond it.
Anything beyond your ego.
Yes.
Thank you, Nash. Because the ego survives on fulfillment of desires. Na? So a happiness based on fulfillment of desires is the happiness the ego wants. But sometimes when the ego is starved of this fuel, you're forced to grow, you're forced to widen, you're forced to look for happiness even in the absence of this desire being fulfilled. Aphorism 176 of Sri Aurobindo. When I look back on my past life, I see, he says, that if I had not failed and suffered, I would have lost my life's supreme blessings. Yet at the time of suffering and failure, and Gurudev has suffered more of it than we have. If you look back at his freedom struggle days and all that, none of us have suffered that kind of stuff. Yet at the time of suffering and failure, I was vexed with the sense of calamity. When he was in jail, he says he actually spoke to God in his mind that I wanted to do your work and free my motherland. Why have you done this to me? Why have you put me under these atrocious circumstances? But then, of course, a voice had answered him that it was never my intention that you should fight for India like this, but you were too attached to your work. You wouldn't listen to me, so I had to do this to bring you to this place so that my real work could be done here. Anyway, that's a side story. But Sri Aurobindo continues, I was vexed with the sense of calamity because we cannot see anything but the one fact under our noses. Therefore, we indulge in all these snifflings and clamors. We just see that one moment of pain, but we don't have the vision of the whole. We don't know what it's leading to. Be silent, ye foolish hearts, Sri Aurobindo says. Slay the ego. Learn to see and feel vastly and universally. You know, again, that beautiful Upanishadic mantra, Yo Vai Bhuma, that which is vast. Bhuma is vast. Bhumi, earth, comes from the word Bhuma, which is vast. Yo Vai Bhuma, Tat Sukham, that which is vast is naturally happy. The self with a capital S is always vast. So it is self-existent happiness. Yo Vai Bhuma, Tat Sukham. What is after that? Nalpe Sukham Asti, not in the small, not in the Alp. Alp is the small. Whenever I shrink into the small self, the ego self, which is looking to be happy through fulfillment of desires, there's no happiness in that, no real happiness in that. Nalpe Sukham Asti, Bhumaiva Sukham. Only in Bhuma is there joy. So whenever you're unhappy, you have shrunk into your egoistic self, because the only thing in us that can hurt is our ego. The rest of what we are can't hurt. If we widen into our larger self, we can't be unhappy. So that's what Sri Aurobindo is saying. Be silent, ye foolish hearts, slay the ego. Learn to see and feel vastly and universally. Aphorism 177. The perfect cosmic vision and cosmic sentiment is the cure for all error and suffering. He's reinforcing Bhumai va Sukham. If you widen your vision, perfect cosmic vision and cosmic sentiment is the cure for all error and suffering. But most men succeed in only enlarging the range of their ego. So somewhere else Sri Aurobindo writes that look at life with the soul's vision and become the master of circumstances rather than its slave. So the soul's vision is the vision of what Sri Aurobindo calls Kalyan Shraddha, faith in the goodness of existence, faith in the eternal good which is constantly unfolding. So coming back to the story I shared at the beginning of class, when I lost my documents, when that thought would come, oh my God, if I won't find the documents, this will happen, that will happen, that wasn't the soul's vision. That was the ego's self-preservative vision. But a little bit one can draw on the soul's vision, which you remind yourself that this thought isn't true. The outcome isn't going to be as doomed as my mind is predicting. I have prayed to the mother. Now whatever she does, she will handle it. She knows where every little ant in the universe is. She knows where my documents are. Even if I don't know, she knows. And in that you can come back to peace. So these are little ways in which you can look at life from the soul's vision and become master of circumstances rather than their slave. So somebody asked Mother, what is the cosmic vision and the cosmic sentiment and how can they be attained? This simply means the vision of the whole earth at the same time and the sentiment which is a result of this vision of the whole, which we can't understand because none of us have the vision of the whole earth, but Mother did. So she's speaking from her perspective. She had the vision of the whole earth. She knew everything that was happening, past, present and future. And at the same time, and the same sentiment, which is the result of the vision of the whole, and because she can see the whole earth, the sentiment she feels towards the moment is something we can't even imagine. We just see this room and we have a sentiment. But imagine her who had the vision of the whole earth. What sentiment would she approach the moment with? We can't even imagine that. The whole contains all things, at the same time light and darkness, suffering and pleasure, happiness and unhappiness, and all together makes a vibration of adoration, turns. Now she's saying what sentiment she has. It's so beautiful. She's describing her sentiment. She's seeing the whole, which has light and darkness, suffering, pleasure, happiness, unhappiness, and all together makes a vibration of adoration turned towards the divine. So this mother who could see the intricacies of the world, its darkest, its highest, she held all that in a sentiment which was adoration turned towards the divine. Just as all sounds heard together make the same supreme invocation to the divine, Om. So that is her sentiment. Her sentiment is like the Om of sounds. Everything I'm seeing, I'm adoring, and I'm offering it. So I read a very beautiful, simple vignette. There was once a Vedantin scholar who was coming to Pondicherry, and he wanted to give a talk at the ashram. So mother wrote to him that if he wants to come here to benefit from the atmosphere here, he's welcome to come, but we don't need talks. So of course he was open, and he came, and a person B was sent to receive him. Now he first met a person who he thought was B, and that person started saying terrible things about the ashram and the mother. And then by that time the actual person B came, and that first person slunk away. So this man asked, the Vedantic scholar asked B, that who was this person? So he said, he's an ashram inmate, he lives with us. So the Vedantic scholar smiled and said, I came here with a question in my mind. Is the mother a yogini or a Bhagavati? Bhagavati is the divine mother. And now I've got my answer. Only a Bhagavati will shelter such an ungrateful person. So she took everyone, people who were grateful, people who were ungrateful. She could see intricacies of what they felt. Nobody could hide anything, but her response was just adoration towards the divine. She took all this into her and adored the divine through them. So now aphorism 187, Sri Aurobindo, in God's a beautiful aphorism, very simple, one sentence, good to learn it up and keep reminding yourself. In God's providence there is no evil, but only good or its preparation. So beautiful. In God's providence there is no evil, but only good or its preparation. Even what appears to be evil is good in the making. Then aphorism 443, to thy lover, O Lord, the railing of the world is wild honey, and the pelting of stones by the mob is summer rain on the body. So he's saying somebody who loves you, the railing of the world is wild honey. When people are railing and ranting at you, it falls on my ears as wild honey, which is very sweet. And the pelting of stones by the mob is summer rain. So when it's hot and it rains, that rain feels like a heaven, right? So pelting of stones, when people pelt stones at him, it's summer rain on the body. For is it not thou that railest and peltest? And is it not thou in the stones that strikest and hurtest me? So beautiful. So he is reminding us that if everything is God, even if in that stone that came and hit me, it was God's hand. And if I recognize that, then I'll receive even that stones with joy. But if we can't receive it with joy, at least start by receiving it with peace and indifference and faith that if I've been taken to it, I'll be taken through it. If it has come, it's come by her sanction, and it can only be faithful to my highest good. Aphorism 444, Sri Aurobindo says, there are two things in God which men call evil. What are the two things men call evil? One, that which they cannot understand at all. If I don't understand something, I'll call it evil. And that which they misunderstand. So two things are evil. One is which they don't understand, I don't understand it, so it's evil. And two, which they misunderstand and possessing misuse. It is only what they grope after, half vainly and dimly understand, that they call good and holy. So what they don't understand and what they misunderstand is evil. What they faintly understand and make sense to them, they call good and holy. But to me, all things in Him are lovable. So I don't need to understand. I need to understand only that everything is Him and I love it. It brings us back to what Sri Aurobindo says, that in the final analysis, you don't need to know anything. The mind is always striving to know what will happen, what should I do, what does he think, where will I go. But he says you don't need to know anything. You need to know only two things. You have a soul within and grace above. If you know this, in other words, he's telling you to know that everything is God. And God is a mystery you'll never ever understand. And that is the Buddhist concept of shunyata, emptiness. God is emptiness because it's empty of concepts. Whatever concepts you apply to God, they'll never ever be wholly true. And if everything is God, whatever concepts I apply to things, they are also empty. They will never really be true. So the concept of emptiness is not about a nihil. It's not telling you things don't exist. It's saying that things exist in an unfathomable mystery. A mystery so deep that you can never box it in any concept. So, aphorism 445, they say, "Oh my God, that I'm mad because I see no fault in thee. But if I'm indeed mad with thy love, I do not wish to recover my sanity." Okay, so these were words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Now words of Master Thich Nhat Hanh. So Thich Nhat Hanh says, sometimes not doing anything is the best thing we can do. It comes back to the story I shared. What was the motto of that story? Who remembers about the tea?
There is nothing to do nothing.
Very good. When there's nothing to do nothing. Sometimes things go wrong. And we've tried our best to fix it, but for now there's nothing I can do to fix it. So then there's wisdom in recognizing there's nothing to do. So just because I'm agitated, let me not try to distract myself from the agitation by doing things. Let me just wait. Life will untie the knot it has tied. So sometimes not doing anything is the best thing we can do. Non-action is already something. There are people who do not seem to do very much, but their presence is crucial for the well-being of the world. There may be someone in our own family who does not make a lot of money, and we could say they are not very active. But if that person wasn't there, the family would be much less happy and stable, because the person is contributing the quality of their being, their non-action. They are not contributing their doing, they are contributing the quality of their being, their non-action. Many times we see this in our grandparents, no? Sometimes they can't do much, old age and all that. But their very presence adds something to the house and to our life. Imagine a boat of desperate refugees crossing the ocean. The boat gets caught in the storm and everyone panics. If everyone panics, there's a high chance they will do the wrong thing and the boat will capsize. But if just one single person can remain calm, they will be able to inspire others to be calm. If from a place of peace they ask everyone to sit quietly, the whole boat can be saved. In the story, that's what the captain of the army did, right? He was one person who didn't lose his peace. And he said, let's have a cup of tea. And he stopped the whole army from being slaughtered. What they contribute above all is their calmness and their quality of being. This is the action of non-action. To practice aimlessness, non-action, just being, doesn't mean that we don't have a dream or aspiration. It means to stay in touch with the ultimate dimension. Ultimate dimension is the God dimension, the field of the eternal good, the field of Bhadram. To stay in touch with the ultimate dimension in the present moment. So something has gone wrong, I've lost something, somebody has spoken rudely to me. I'm getting carried away by the narratives my mind has spoken, is speaking. But I lean back into the ultimate dimension, the God dimension that I am right now, sitting here. I am the ultimate dimension also. Like the depth of the ocean from which the waves arise, every wave is the ocean, right? The depth of the ocean is the ultimate dimension, the God nature that I am. The waves that arise are coming from the ocean. And if the waves remember their relationship with the depths, they'll be happier waves, right? If they remember that the ocean is making me move like this or that, pushing me into this tsunami, into those calm waters, the wave will go through it much more calmly, right? And it will jump around much more because if it much less, because if it remembers the depths into which it wants to merge, its orientation will be downwards rather than upwards and jumping up and down, isn't it? So to constantly remember the depths while interacting on the surface, to constantly remember the ultimate dimension in the present moment, so we can realize our dreams with joy, ease and freedom. This is a beautiful practice, to remember and stay in touch with the ultimate dimension, for us to stay in touch with the Mother in the present moment, so we can realize our dreams with joy, ease and freedom. Further, Thich Nhat Hanh says, when fear, craving or desire comes up, we need to be able to recognize it with mindfulness and smile to it with compassion. We don't have to hate it for it coming up. We have to be compassionate towards it, like our ocean self should be compassionate to the wave self that arises. So our consciousness should be like a mother to all these little disturbances that come. Hello fear, hello craving, hello little child, following our breathing and in the safe island of the present moment. Look at his play of words. He calls the present moment a safe island. We transmit the energy of stability, compassion and non-fear to our inner child. So it's beautiful. Jack Cornfield, he's another brilliant writer on Buddhist philosophy. He's given a beautiful sort of technique of mindfulness which he calls RAIN. So R is for recognition. You recognize that this mind state of craving has come. This feeling of isolation or doom has come. You recognize it. That's bringing consciousness to it. Second A of the RAIN, you accept it. You accept that it has come without wishing it away, without doing something to distract yourself from it. This too has come from the ocean. It's come for a purpose. Third, introspect. It's come, but it's not really true. In the past also this mind state has come up and it's pulled me down, but I know from my past that all the doom and negativity it has spelt out hasn't really happened. So I know this is an emotional flavor that is coming up from the past as a conditioning. So you introspect. And N of RAIN, non-identification. This is not whole of me. This is just a wave that is coming up in the moment. I'm a mountain. This is coming like clouds. It will come and go. I don't have to hate it. I don't have to resist it. I don't have to push it away. I have to just step back and let its season be spent. You'll notice that every negative emotion has a season. Once that season is over, without you doing anything, it goes away. Have you noticed that? So what is the RAIN of mindfulness? R is recognition. A is acceptance. You don't resist it. You don't wish it away. Whatever you resist will persist. You accept it. You're okay that it's come up. You're not bad because it's come up. It's not bad. Third, introspection. Look into it really. Look at its nature. It's not the truth. It's just a conditioned pattern from my past. And N, non-identification. It's not me. I am the awareness space in which it has come. It will come and go. So, mindfulness can only help reduce us. So, RAIN, R-A-I-N, is mindfulness. Mindfulness can only help reduce our stress and tension if it provides us with insight. The insight will come like the insight that, oh, this is not true, this is just a condition, or it can be any other insight. I'm giving you an example, but insights are infinite. Don't put insight also into a box. This is just one example. Meditation isn't just a temporary place of refuge to help you stop suffering for a while. It's much more than that. Your spiritual practice has the power to transform the roots of your suffering and transform the way you live your daily life. It is insight that helps us calm our restlessness. When you sit quietly with what's bothering you, from your wisdom self an insight will come, and that will help you calm your restlessness, stress and craving. Perhaps we can start to speak of insight-based stress reduction. And we come to the last passage for today. It's from Savitri, page 424, 425, where Narad is telling, so this is a poignant moment in Savitri where Savitri has come back, she has found Satyavan, she's all rosy-eyed and she's telling her father and she's showing it, but Narad is visiting the palace at that time. And Narad is saying that the man she has chosen is a jewel among men, but 1 year from now he is going to die. So the Queen Mother reacts that what kind of God is this? My daughter who is a jewel among humankind, what kind of fate has your God given to her? Why is he doing this? So replying to the bereaved mother, Narad is saying this. Oh, the first line is missing, but I'll say it. whether it seem good or evil to men's eyes. To your eyes, this is seeming very evil, that your daughter is first of all going to go away to a forest, marry a man who's not going to be a husband after 1 year. To your eyes, it seems very evil. But Narad is saying, whether it seem good or evil to men's eyes, only for good the secret will, with a capital W, can work. And look at his play of work. He is not saying does work, he's saying can work. Can you tell me the difference between him saying only for good the secret will does work or can work? What's the difference of nuance?
Maybe can work will be a probability depending on the other two.
No, opposite. Can work means this is the only way it can do it. It's designed to do it only in this way. It cannot do it any other way. It's not that it does it this way, but the whole design of the secret will is that this is the only way it can work. Only for good the secret will can work. Our destiny is written in double terms: pain and sorrow, fortune, good fortune, happiness, unhappiness. Through nature's contraries, we draw nearer God. Through all these double terms and contradictions of our life, we are just coming closer and closer to our own God self. Nearer to God means nearer to our own truth, true self. Through nature's contraries, we draw nearer God. Out of the darkness, we still grow to light. See, that's the beauty of Sri Aurobindo. He is always and always giving us hope, and not hope in the air, very grounded, practical hope. So out of the darkness, we still grow to light. Death is our road to immortality. Earlier he said, no, if you say good men die and fail and that is evil, I want to ask you, are you convinced that death and failure is evil? According to him, it's not. Death is our road to immortality. Cry woe means in Hindi, hi, so terrible, so terrible. Cry woe, the world's lost voices wail. Yet conquers the eternal good at last. Yet conquers the eternal good at last. So every time my mind is shouting, cry woe, this is terrible, it's beautiful to remember these little phrases. Yet conquers the eternal good at last. In the end, it will always be that I'll see that the eternal good has made all this happen, taken me through a whole cycle and brought me back richer for it. So with that, let's be quiet. I'd like you to do a little consciousness homework for the week. What I always tell my 9th and 10th standard kids, practice 2 things constantly and tenaciously. One is, don't believe your thoughts. Take your thoughts with not a pinch of salt but buckets of salt. Whenever it's taking you on a negative trip, on a nightmare you're having in a waking state, remind yourself, I don't have to believe this. In the past, I know my mind has created so many negative narratives of doom, and hardly any of them have come true. I don't believe my thoughts. I wake up from the nightmare by not believing them. And 2, I believe in Bhadram, the eternal good, that everything in my life, even what appears to be bad, is good in the making. That everything is perfectly part of a higher plan, which is too vast and too intelligent for me to understand. as yet. So, in the absence of understanding it, I can just have faith that it is so. Keeping that in mind, hands together in a namaste, let's end with 3 Oms. Om.